PAX is too much fun.
Hi. I was like, oh God, are we going to fill this? Is it going to be enough people? And you guys have outdone yourselves. Thank you.
Thank you.
So first off, can we get a round of applause for like our amazing ASL interpreter here? There's a team of them. And they'll be swapping off, and so they're going to handle this, and it's going to be amazing. And I'm not gonna make it weird. I'm not gonna make it weird. Okay, cool. Done making it weird. Okay, so we are here to do a little talk about the future and the past and the present of all time, but mostly about Dragon Age. And I need to find my clicker and make sure it's working. Used to have a light, so I'm a little terrified. Let's find out. Let's find out if it works. Oh, it does. Excellent. All right, then. So who have we got with us here today? Actually, before I dig into us, I want to talk about you guys for a second. First off, Dragon Age Inquisition for us was an amazing success. It was one of the fastest-selling games in BioWare's. It was the fastest-selling game in BioWare's history. It received great critical scores. It was one we're all very proud of, and it was a challenging game for us to make. So for all of you who have come to see us at PAX's or have spotted us at San Diego Comic-Con, I just want you to give yourselves a cheer because you guys are the reason that this is so good.
Do it.
And I probably should have cleaned my glasses because I can't see a damn thing, but I believe our cosplayers, we had a whole bunch of cosplayers that have been doing some amazing work. They're all here.
All the cosplay.
Yeah.
Where are you at?
There they are, a bunch over there. We've got people with rift hands. We've got canary horns. We have got some of the best stuff. Look at those glowing daggers up there, enchanted with multiple enchantment types.
Oh, that's too cool.
It's just the coolest thing because, especially as creators, and we do have multiple artists here, it's like, oh, cool. And then
It's real.
I know. And the best part is Matt Rhodes immediately is like, which parts were hard to build so we can fix that for next time? Which is,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I for reference, I still am very sorry for all the shepherds out there because I see they can never sit down. Lessons learned. We're getting there.
Got to bend at the waist. Oh, God. Yes. Yeah. You sort of slide into position. I know. These are very slippery chairs, too, and I'm worried about the last panel. Apparently, it was exciting. So, that said, let's talk about who we are, and we'll kind of quickly go through the names, get some pictures up there. So, sitting at the far end there, we have our art director, Matthew Goldman. Starting off the middle, we have our lead concept artist and stylish man about town, Matt Rhodes.
Which I noticed I didn't give you an updated picture. But
You
that's
did
me
not.
10
You did
years
not.
ago.
And I told you what
know.
would happen. We
I
would
know.
use your
It
staff gallery photo.
Now we can see
I
the
gave you a
ravages
photo,
of time.
Didn't you?
I know you did. And I realized like about 5 minutes ago that I forgot to update
That
yours.
photo was way better.
Yeah, it had pen-drawn eyebrows on it. It was very obscure. Anyway, not to derail, the other middle seat, we have the always lovely and ever-capable localization project manager, Melanie Fleming. She's got her own fan club. You can hear them. They're over there. Yeah, I'm in that fan club. Card carrying. And my name is Mike Laidlaw. I'm the creative director for Dragon Age.
Mike Laidlaw. He's creative. I'm going to say laid, and you're going to say law. Laid. 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 Oh, yeah, Laidlaw.
I swear to God, I thought you were joking about that. All right, there we go. That's the energy we're looking for. I like this. So what we're going to do today is, some of you who may or may not have used the internet today may have uncovered certain things where we had what we might call a security breach. So I'm going to be slightly less coy, which is rather awkward for me because that's usually my thing. But we will be talking about some new stuff coming up. But before we did that, we did want to talk a little bit about Inquisition and dig in with these folks about some of the cool stories that came out of the project. It's almost a year later, and kind of spend some time with a retrospective, let you guys get a little behind the scenes look and at some of the cool stuff. So I kind of threw that out ahead of time and said, if there anything particular you want to talk about. And I wanted to start with Matt Rhodes, and
Sure.
It seems appropriate because Matt, being a concept artist, is one of the first people with boots on the ground when any kind of project's being developed. So Matt, tell us a story.
Yeah, well, Inquisition was this rare treat. It was, to me, just the highlight of the career, partially because we had the biggest concept art team we'd ever had. But then there was this miracle of game development, which never happens in that very early. We had a spare 2 or 3 months that were just this extra time that never happened. That's magic. And so what it gave us a chance to do was just dig deep into our inner art history nerd.
Deep.
Yeah, and basically go in, we love the writers to death, and they've written this amazingly deep history of chantry and politics. There's all this religious history. So we did, actually we've got an image here too, of, we were able to get into tapestries and relics and stained glass and sculptures and just go nuts on it. So finally, a lot of that history that you'd read in codexes was there. It was just sitting there. It was in some places gathering dust, in some places shining in gold, and it was a really, really great, just present for us.
I think we'll bring that up here so we can get a look at it. Hopefully it's there.
Yeah, that's...
There we go.
Oh.
Nope,
the other one.
we went too
go.
far.
Too far.
All right.
But also
I
that.
see. Yeah. My prompter thing is now currently facing those guys, which is good, but we're not going to make it weird. Awkward pause. Keep going, Matt.
That was pretty much it. I'm solid, yeah. But I mean, right there is basically
Good one,
you can
Laidlaw.
see that's all the chantry stuff piled together. But Orlesian chantry and Ferelden chantry, I mean, we just went nuts. It was like
Nuts.
being at art history summer camp. You could probably take a Thedosian art history course now.
Art history.
Matt's going full hype man. So you guys ended up doing these for all the different major factions, right?
Yeah.
You dug into Diviner, you dug into Orlais,
Yeah.
And they all had this kind of spread. We didn't bring them.
Yeah.
Is there any particular highlight in this one, anything there? That I know for me, one the kind of religious iconography is one of my favorite kind of series of works you guys did.
Yeah, I mean, Nick Thornborough went completely bananas on the stained glass. So much so, I mean, we started trying to put it everywhere in game, but even in the lunchroom at work, we had these windows on the inside, and we just said, well, let's go for it. And they printed up see-through stickers of these stained glass. So we actually have the stained glass in the office now. And
The one with the human sacrifice makes me so hungry.
Yeah.
Then there was spoilers in those, so then we can do interviews in the lunchroom for a while.
Totally.
Because we couldn't show those images. Yeah.
The worst part was, I remember once there was some local magazine doing up-and-comer business leaders, and it was Aaron Flynn with the Inquisitor helmet, 2 pieces of weaponry, a thing of sushi, because for some reason the angle was, what's your favorite restaurant in town? And bloody decapitations and murder delves in the background. And I don't think anyone really registered that that's what was on the stained glass, but that's what went to print. And
Welcome to Bioware. Let me show you our dungeon.
So
the best part was Aaron's look of I'm like, Aaron, how's it going? And just kind of doing the creepy nod. And he was like, okay, I'll back away. Goodbye, Mr. Flynn, sir. It's been a pleasure. But yeah, those turned out incredibly well. And when you're doing the concept thing, one thing, it's a little bit something I want to talk about, but I mean, I thought Inquisition was great for you guys kind of pitching ideas to the design team. That was one of my favorite beats. So,
and that's another reason it was just such a delight and still a highlight for me, because everyone was so open. The team had worked together through Origins and 2 and onwards, and it was just now we were able to work together, I think stronger than ever before. I mean, we were able to pitch, I mean, this is a little maybe ahead of schedule, but we were able to pitch followers. The Iron Bull came from drawings first, and then got the writers excited. They wrote them out.
It's not the only one he got excited.
Well, yeah.
It's so awesome.
But yeah, it's become a really collaborative thing. I mean, just even there was that dragon image. In the flames. There's just one image. We were trying to explore some stuff. I had watched The Rescuers Down Under, and when when he grabs the snake and says, "You got to take us where we're gonna go," and I thought that would be great to do that to a dragon.
Yeah. And you drew it.
And I drew it,
Yeah.
and then later you came in and were like, make that in the game.
Yeah, yeah. We're gonna do it, and that's for spoiler warning. It's been a year. You're too late. That's where that optional part of the Mythalar came from. Was it would be awesome to have a dragon of your own, and so that was another place where we could do 2 variations. But that one, being able to stare it down and having it just fly off, and it'll come once, which that's kind of sad. But anyway, sad for the dragon. I mean, it didn't turn out so well at the end of the game as we found out. Yeah,
no.
That worked out awesome. 2 dragons like punched each other in the mouth with their mouths. That was awesome. That worked out perfect.
I wonder to what degree the fact that we did that in like the animated movie and it was so cool there. We're like, well, that's going in the game. I mean, that was kind of neat.
That could just become punctuation at this point.
Isn't punching each other in the mouth with their mouths just kissing?
No, because it's like violent kissing, so.
Yeah, acceleration comes into it.
So it's even better kissing. Yeah. Okay, so as we branch off from concept, one thing that we do try to do is make sure that we're building our content kind of responsibly, and that's something we used to do really late. And invariably it'd be like, well, you can't do that on Russian television or what have you, and then a big bucket of paint would drop on your head. Boy, I've dated myself right there. Yeah, and maybe some of you. But the end result, of course, is that we will even start with the concept art and look for initial watchwords or character stuff. And of course, Melanie coordinates that throughout the project and is as never the bearer of bad news, but simply the bearer of news, and it's up to us to decide if we never want to ship in Japan. Tell us a story, Mel.
Yeah, I love concept art that has a lot of characters in it, like this one. And we take a lot of that, first of all, and we try and get all of our languages to understand the world that they're in and the characters that they're doing. But always there are certain characters that are much more challenging to interpret. And I mean, I'm talking about translation. We did 8 languages, French, German, Italian, Spanish, Brazilian, Portuguese, Russian, Polish, and Japanese. And each of those cultures has different ways that they interpret things. Their perception is different of different characters, and even down to something like, not just the words, but even like the gestures and things that they will use. The language that they will use, even the clothing that they wear has different meanings in different cultures. Like Solus was a challenge for us because he was, it was very important to us to make sure that he was interpreted as a very kind person, that everybody in the world mattered to him and how they were treated, and to try and get that across.
Solus is sympathetic and hunky.
He's sympathetic and hunky. That was important. Cole was a challenge as well because he had so many non sequiturs, and you want it to be a non sequitur that makes no sense, but doesn't make too much not sense. And that is very hard in translation because you have to explain what the joke means enough that they can then make it not make sense again. And so the writer for Cole was Patrick Weeks, and so there was a lot of times where I would go in and go, okay, tell me about that joke and what does that mean? And he'd go, oh.
And how many plots of major movies have you spoiled in this particular dialogue? Because Cole has something like 15 of those, right?
Yeah, and 2 hours later, I would have all these notes, and he would just be, I need a drink of water. I need to go find it. And
he has a reference to Gone Home.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like, and of course you have to get those to the translators.
Yeah.
And be like, okay, yeah, you may not know this game. Oh,
there were movies and books and films they had never heard of, and now I'm trying to explain those movies to them. So there was a lot of literature around Cole. But the gold medal winner for difficulty, the thing I'm most proud of that we pulled off was Sarah. Now, as you know, Sarah is, I think, similarly to Iron Bull a little bit, but Sarah is she speaks in the most modern way that we have. She is full of slang and jargon and references, often puns that only work in English, and she's also crass. as hell. So
She's inappropriate.
yeah, every awesome way that she can be. And so the thing that I remember most of all, we have questions from all of our groups, the translators, the voiceover artists, the testers, some guy from Poland in marketing, like anybody can ask us questions, and we have a giant document. We keep all this in it, and they all share it so that they can look at each other's questions and see what they're asking and make sure that they're all on the same page. And so over the course of the project, we have like over 6,000 questions, I think, that we answered on Dragon Age Inquisition. And one of them was from the Japanese translation team, and it was on this picture of Sarah. You got it up there? Okay, so the Japanese
So does Sarah.
don't necessarily have this gesture. And so the question was simply,
She's
what is
cleaning a
she doing?
sink.
I thought it was universal.
Well, like not without
no.
tentacles, right?
Well,
Yeah,
they knew it was Sarah because they translated half the game. So they're like, the actual question was, is this dirty? This is dirty, right? Is this dirty? But because all the other languages get to see this, yeah, all the other languages were reading all this. So because I'm writing my answer, which was basically no, hell no, it's not, in a little more detail. And the Polish team went, oh, we thought she was rolling up her sleeve. Sorry. We'll redo that. Sorry. Okay, sorry.
There's one of those fade stones inside your mount, and she's getting ready to go
Yeah.
after it.
Yeah. As you would put it, being an old dairy farmer guy, it's maybe she's describing a story about birthing a cow or something. I don't know. Could be.
This is just making me realize I don't know if I've ever explained that gesture.
Can you explain the gesture?
Now is the time because you, sir, have a captive
All
audience.
right, I've never talked about this before, but a friend back in art school was trying to signal me from across the room. And so eventually all of his hand signals started to get more and more and more awful. And this actually continues. There's a next step to this, which I could show you if you want.
I'll hold your microphone.
As long as you don't have to explain it to Japan.
From across a really loud room.
Yeah.
All right.
Don't worry, it's being Twitch streamed.
Matthew Rhodes, everybody.
I am so glad I don't have to explain that to my translator.
That's going to be in the next game. Opening cutscene, 45 minutes.
Every story I hear about this so-called art school you guys go to is, it's always kind of like that. Yeah.
Art school is pretty inappropriate a lot of the time. You should go to art school.
I don't know if I want to sit on the same couch as you. We're such a nice boy.
Oh God! All right, how to follow? Okay, we're gonna try and bring it down to sex so we don't go into the moon. That's where wizards come from. What I'm thinking is in the process of getting this kind of stuff across, you actually did you brought teams together to say, okay, everybody explain at a high level what we're doing here, and this is the first time we've really done that. Like, what was involved in kind of getting the translators kind of like directly talking to writers and stuff?
Well, we did just that. We had phone calls that we had to be at a certain time of day because the world is large and there are different time zones. And we brought together the writing team, and we did this for every plot and every follower so that the writer had a chance to explain their vision. Sometimes we brought in cinematics guys as well to explain a certain scene and how it should look. And we tried to get a lot more input for those guys, because the thing about our translators is they are in their native countries. They're all over the world. And due to, even though there is vast security features that our company practices, there's so much risk. We don't want to leak anything. We don't want to spoil anything. So we don't let our translators play the game. In fact, it's not so much let, but it's so prohibitive to get them a copy of the game that they can understand that is so far enough along that we just don't bother, and we end up just connecting the people instead, which is probably smarter and better anyway, because the enthusiasm and the excitement that our team shows is infectious, and then it infects the translators as well, and they get excited. And so our translators end up being a little bit more like ghostwriters or something, because they really have to take the game and interpret it in a way that is the same game, but is at the right level for their culture, in a way that they're going to understand, and jokes that they understand. I mean, those bard songs that we did in the tavern, the lyrics for each of those songs in different languages, same for French and German, Polish, they are different, so that the song sounds good. It isn't just a literal translation of the English words. We made it so that the meter and the tempo and everything works in each language. And let me tell you, German words are really long, so that was a bit of a challenge. So every single line of the bard songs in German are just one word, because that's all we can fit. But it's those kind of things where you can connect people, that they start to have their own ideas and go, well, have you thought of doing this? And we kind of go, oh, no, we hadn't thought of that. And we bring it back around to the writers, and then someone like Luke Christensen or Dave Gator will go, oh, geez, I never thought of that. That's a good idea. Oh, now I have a picture in my head. Oh, I must write it down. And then they go away and do that. So it can be extremely corroborative, and you learn things from other cultures and bring that into the world, like in influences in Orlais or influences for Eldon that you may not have known, or that you can sort of, because they are fictitious cultures, but there are things that you tweak and kind of go, oh, I didn't know why, arches in German cathedrals look like that. And somebody will know and explain it, and you'll go, oh, well, that makes sense. Oh, well, then we could do this. And then it expands from there and gets deeper and deeper and more interesting.
There's a I don't know how great this story is, but I'm going to give it a whirl about the bar songs. There were two guys, I would say, and you were heavily involved there, that were kind of the prime movers in hooking up Meriden, the bard that sang. And they were both like determined to make it like premiere, right? To really, really make it work. Because if we'd use like our standard conversation system, and Lord, one day we will fix this, the default behavior would have been like, sing a line, pause, sing a line, pause, and that sounds terrible. Like it just did not work. So we tried it like that, and it was not there. And I want to like, while on internet TV, there's a fellow named Jason Hill, who is a designer on Dragon Age Inquisition, who poured his life into Haven and Skyhold.
He died on his own hill.
Yeah, he did. Jason died on his own hill. He was a husk of a man, but he was dedicated by God to getting the bard to work in multiple languages with subtitles while other dialogues could be going on.
Yeah, that was his opus. It was incredible.
Yeah, he looked up to me one day, kind of tired, and I felt so bad because it was a passion project, and he said to me, "This is my high dragon, and I have slain it." And and that's just the most phenomenal feeling, and I felt so proud. And Jeremy Vio, one of our senior sound designers, helped him with it, and of course the casting talent to get. We actually worked with an external group to do the bard songs, and we liked it so much we decided to do some more, and we'll talk in a little bit about where those maybe might appear. Creative. Hype man. So I wanted to take a minute and talk about. I wanted to talk about the characters in the game, the followers in particular, just as something that I'm particularly proud of. I think Inquisition was our largest cast, and we didn't do that just because it was a gimmick. We did it because we had a lot of ideas, a lot of points of view we wanted to get across, and we had a lot of different, conflicting personalities. We also had this weird mechanical desire to make it so that if you really, really wanted to play with just like 4 warriors, you know what? This is the game where you can do that and just shield bash forever, right? And in the end, I'm not sure if that was maybe the best goal, but I mean, you got to remember we were all reacting to Dragon Age 2, and that was a very special time for us. little PTSD at points, and it was just like you special. If it's one of those things where if you have you have a lot of people going, you took away a lot of customization, or you forced me to always use Anders as my healer, and that guy blew up a church, and no, right? I was like, oh yeah, actually, fair cop. Well done. You got me. That was not a good call. So I decided we were going to just make that impossible, right? That characters could do whatever you wanted. Varric could use a dagger if you're wrong in the head, he could, but it was possible. And the other big element for us was exploring the idea of having these significant and major non-player characters that were almost party members in the form of the advisors. And Mass 3, I think, had done some initial work on this, where they had Cortez as your shuttle pilot, and of course Edie, who became a party member, but was, and Joker, of course, throughout the entire series. So we were confident that would work, and we thought, what if we treated them like they were full characters? And we had romances with Josephine and obviously with Cullen. Still get tweets about Cullen. Sometimes they're real hot, sometimes real hot with different capitalization. It's crazy. There's a lot of different Cullens out there. But the best part is that the characters really seem to gel. And while, some people are like, I liked Origins better, some people really love the DA2 characters, I think that what we did with them is not many of them hit you as this kind of neutral, beige kind of milquetoast. I guess we saved that for the pajamas. But you either kind of really liked them or you really kind of didn't. And in that case, I always feel that they're really successful as characters because they evoke some emotion and they evoke some feelings. I mean, Matt, what's your phrase for like your entire job?
I move colors around until people feel things.
Yeah, it's like that. We move personalities around until people felt things. The other thing I thought was really successful is getting the concept art team on board, getting Matt's buy-in, being able to empower Loke, and of course the designers and so on. I mean, it was not a perfect project. It was a new engine. There were all kinds of communication issues, tons of stuff. But one thing I felt, everybody just kind of understood what was happening around the characters and where they fit in. And if you look really closely, and I always thought this was ingenious, even up to the marketing level and marketing materials and screenshots and stuff, take a look at almost every piece of concept art or production art or marketing art that went out. You'll notice, including this one, that Solus is never looking where everyone else is looking. He's always looking at you. Always. Because Solus is intrigued by you, and Solus as a character had different priorities than everyone else in the game. And of course, those of you who beat the game, well, I got some good news for you. But anyway, those of you who beat the game later, there's a timer, and I have a mental point at which I'm just going to be like, all right, let's do this. Anyway, whatever, half of you already know what I'm talking about, but it's cool. Anyway, so the fact that was all the way through in a running thread to me was just incredibly powerful because it did represent, I think, a level of buy-in that we didn't necessarily see across all the previous games on that front. And I mean, hindsight, there's always changes you'd make, but I was happy with this cast of characters and the way they interacted with the world and the way that we were able to weave their personal plots into different beats, that they weren't just like cookie cutter, well, you talk to them till liked, you talk to them till loved, and so on. So they reacted to different plots. I mean, the fact that Iron Bull's romance actually couldn't begin unless you slayed a dragon, I think was really quite cool, right? And it represented an interesting hybrid of gameplay and storytelling that we had not done as much as I think we should do and should be doing more of in the future. So, yeah, that's one thing I came away really happy with. But I really want to give the floor for a minute to our art director here, Matt Goldman. Tell us the story.
Hi, everybody. I'm Matt Goldman. I'm the art director. I like to direct. There's so many things. I'm super, not pride is a sin, but I'm so pleased with the way Inquisition turned out in the teamwork and being able to draw up tarot cards and do everything. That was amazing, and I loved it when Lord Laidlaw came and said, "Bring me a horse." I'd say, "I don't have one horse. I have 31 horses. I have nugs and dracolisks and horses also." So basically trying to exceed the expectations of the design team and the player base too. But probably the thing I'm most pleased with is the way the level art turned out. Any environment artists in our crowd? One? You're the throbbing aorta of where game design and art all swirl together. So the one thing over the oh yeah, that's my I have an aura of technical incompetence that allows me to disable anybody's computer by just gesturing at it, and I see that it
And apparently an entire stadium's lighting. Well
that is
done.
so awesome. I am like Magneto or something. But anyways, the levels through the years, like I started on Baldur's Gate, which is a while ago, and thank you very much. In that game, there was just acres and oodles of giant maps that you could go in the wedge formation and get rid of all of those annoying black pixels, which I spent so many hours doing.
It's like 7 Cities of Gold, right? The most classic gameplay. I must clear the entire North American continent.
Yeah, exactly. Just like a horde of locusts. So what we wanted to do for the levels this time is, over the years we seem to have kind of eroded the amount of exploration space. So this time I was like, by the time the player gets to the hissing wastes, they're just going to go, oh God, not another one! Laidlaw, you cruel bastard!
Honestly, I'm not sure it was the hissing waste. I think it was the first shard in the hissing waste.
Oh yeah. Okay. Anyways, so yeah, the level art is just. I thought it was really super. Had nice palette of colors, and I just like the idea of being able to search around and look under every nook and cranny and flip sticks over and poke grubs and look at you can really zoom in on the grass, and every time you come over a rise, there's just another rise over there.
That happened to me in the I had that experience just in the Hinterlands. While it was in development, I hadn't played it for about a month, and they added like a whole other half to it. So I came over the rise and oh.
Yeah. That's right. Keep running. Druffy's got to follow you all through those rocks for like 90 miles, and you get 1 XP. So yeah, I love the environments. I love the colors. I love standing portentously over people's desks and saying topography equals destiny, and then disappearing behind a curtain and waiting for work to be over so I can leave. Yeah.
Smoke bomb. Yeah.
Ow! I'm actually just under your desk. Yeah. So yeah, and one of my favorite areas was I really since Baldur's Gate, it's like we haven't had a castle. We always have like a rocket-powered bamboo fighter ship or something, which is also cool, but really hard to put your wardrobe in.
Jade Empire, call back.
Yeah, that's right. I'm gonna make one even if nobody else likes that game. I do. Anyways, I've finished talking about environments. They're my favorite, and they turned out pretty awesome, I thought.
Do you have any other particular hot point stories you'd like to share?
I do have a little story. It's how long would you say the story is?
But 3-4 inches.
Okay. This story is about how much detail is in our game. You know how I was saying it's fun to look around under all the rocks and things like that? But sometimes, as an artist, you just have to close the door and have a little tender moment with the model you're working on. And one of our guys has more tender moments per week than you think is really appropriate. So he was working on a character, and he was like, oh, look at the padding on the inside of the helmet. Oh, that's so amazing. Look at the inside of those shin pads. That's really realistic.
I think multiple people's faces have been delicately rendered into parts of pauldrons.
Yeah, and it's like on the underside where you literally can't see it. No matter what you do, you can't see it. So one day, I was like, you can't see this detail. Have you actually played our game? You cannot fly inside of somebody's glove. It can't be done. There's no mode for that. Although maybe there should be a first-person mode, camera mode. But anyways, we finished one of the characters, and I was like, this is so meticulous, it's amazing. What do you think, boss? I was like, pretty good. Yeah. Not bad, but it's not finished yet. Whoa, what do you mean? Well, it's, I just did the storyboard for the romance, and he's smooth like a Ken doll. We can't ship that. What are you talking? It's not finished yet. So he's like, oh, yeah, I see what you mean. And then, so when I come back later, he's got all the reference of like every shape and size and color and different muff types and like how long should the pubes be? And I'm like, well, what do you think? And then so he got a little further down and into the trenches, and he really figured out how veiny and everything. And I was like, yeah, that's pretty impressive. Not bad, but I want a bit more of a lip on the bell end there, like this. All right.
So you actually started full-on art directing this project, yeah?
Exactly. I need a little bit more of a silhouette on that, so that when we frame it just like this, here's the storyboard, we could have that. And then so after about a week I was like, this has got to be better than Dr. Manhattan's dong. Okay. That dong wasn't realistic.
That's the benchmark.
Okay, it was nuclear powered. Okay, but anyways, after a week, finally got done, and I was like, what are you, crazy? We can't ship that.
Made my life a living hell.
Yeah,
in Japan.
and then sick bastard, I enjoyed watching it percolate through the rest of the system as other people discovered it.
Did a lot of face palming for the next couple of weeks.
So you're welcome, Mel.
You know what? It was a very nice penis. It's very nice. He's lucky he's cute. That's all I'm saying.
You have a hex editor. You can go through our disc and you can't find it because it can't be seen.
Didn't someone show it to you when it was kind of in process, under a sheet, so that
one of our producers, she's very Catholic, and she's not a prude, but she has feelings about what's right, especially what's right and professional at work. And so I think I had to, it was like being ushered into the Illuminati's underground secret lair or something, and there was 9 locks on the door, and she had a sheet over her monitor, and she was like, okay, I'm gonna show you something. If it's too much, we can stop. It's a penis. What did you want me to say? What's the question?
there's 1,000 GIFs being made right now.
Yeah.
It'll be you and Mac from Night Court. Yeah. Anyway, it's interesting that one thing that is worth calling out, just to get a little behind the scenes on game dev. It was actually pretty contentious because I think the word was oh my gosh, we're wasting all this time, but we have all these bugs to fix, all that kind of stuff, and not realizing that what had actually happened was that we were working on the nude for this character anyway. So it wasn't like, oh, we decided to follow this flight of fancy for no good reason, but I think that people have started to do it, and that is to bring the mood down slightly. That is a thing that can happen, especially late in game dev, is miscommunication, and what you'll find is that the willingness to kind of give the benefit of the doubt, there's probably a reason, or this probably isn't as insane as it may seem, does tend to erode as we get a little more tired or as deadlines loom a little bit more closely. And that can be, it's probably one of the biggest challenges of making games, especially games of this size, because this was the biggest team that we'd ever worked on, is keeping that communication flowing, and something that I know personally I've been like, everyone needs to get better at that. So that's, I guess if you ever come and work on the Dragon Age projects, look forward to that. It's going to be amazing. So I'm looking at a clock here, and I think it may be time that we kind of shift gears a little bit. Thank you.
Go, Laidlaw. What you got to tell us?
What have I got? All right, so let's recap for a moment, shall we? So I assume most people here have played Inquisition.
I hear that won an award or something.
A few, yeah. And the thing is what we've continued to do, and something we committed to do fairly early, is continue to expand upon the game as it came out. And there were a number of things that we've done. So we expanded for Skyhold. Some of the capabilities that you had there. If you went down into the Undercroft anytime after a certain patch, you would find you could tint your armor. You could even take dropped armor and then recolor it, tint it, change the shape of it. And we also added party storage, which was a heavily requested feature. Yeah, exactly, right? And of course we did it at the same time, because you're going to make all these fancy, cool, specific color-coded armors, and you need a place to store them, right? That just made sense. And of course weaponry and so on and so forth. So that was something that was always in the initial design. We didn't quite have time to get it for launch, so we said this one's coming out as a patch, right? Free, downloadable, away you go, right? Kind of included in your game. So that we were quite happy with that, and happy that we had the support, I think, even at an EA level, to continue expanding it. We then kept going, and we introduced the Black Emporium. And the black, sorry, what? Oh yeah, Chauncey, of course, being the highlight feature, a micro bear that was notable in that it was the bear that did not destroy you on sight. But the Black Emporium was, of course, a place that was, the mystical store of Dragon Age 2. People were looking for a way to change their character. Maybe the lip shine was a bit high. And among other things. So we decided let's bring the Black Emporium back, and it's available as a free DLC. It has to kind of live outside of patches because of the way the content works, but it is available. So again, if you, I'm kind of recapping this because if you haven't played Inquisition since launch, there's a fair amount of new stuff. We also turn our gaze to multiplayer, and multiplayer, basically we always intended to and successfully followed the vision, which was to stick with what Mass Effect 3 had done so successfully. And we continue to add new content to it, including new characters. And, in addition to Skywatcher, the Avar, of course, Isabella from Dragon Age 2, who looks good in Frostbite, let me tell you. And she's fun to play. These characters had kind of hybrid kits. We recently added the Silent Sister. She's available as well, kind of a hybrid, kind of warrior rogue. And we wanted to continue expanding. In addition, there are new enemies for you to face. The Shabbatal Warriors, the Darkspawn have been added as a faction. And of course, the thing that we all wanted, and everyone was like, would you just do it, man? On my Twitter, like it's that easy. Sheesh. Dragons. Because the dragons in Inquisition, we were pretty darn happy with how those came together. They were tough, they were big, they were unique fights, and of course the dragons are part of this new level, this Ferelden castle. They fly around, they throw fireballs, they change the artwork based on what type of dragon you have. So adding dragon slaying as a multiplayer activity was hugely successful. People loved it. We liked doing it. It was a lot of fun. So huge element. And again, if you haven't tried the multiplayer, there actually is a new training grounds module available that will kind of give you a tutorial. There's a sergeant kind of walking you through your first adventure. So it's a little bit easier to get into. And of course, I'm sure there are many people here at PAX who would like to give you a hand and be your friend. Cooperative. And then, of course, we continued on into the single-player realm. Just in case you weren't aware, we did release the Jaws of Hakon, which added yet another exploration space. Laidlaw, right? Yeah. And with Jaws of Hakon, of course, we dug into the Avar and their culture, their history. We felt they were really interesting, and the origin of the Inquisition, which is a story that we thought, there's a really good story to tell here. And we sort of, we had specced out what happened to the original Inquisition, how they got folded into the Templars and so forth, but we never really dug into that in a specific way in the course of the main game. So that's what Hakon let us do. And then most recently, the folks in Austin helped us out with The Descent. And Descent was very different. It was designed to be a big dungeon crawl right from the beginning. And our hope, and actually this worked out really well, is that the folks in Austin, having been working on Star Wars: The Old Republic, have a lot of experience with dungeons, a lot of experience with creature design, and so forth. And as a result, they are able to build a really amazing dungeon crawl and take you through and revisit the idea of the Darkspawn and maybe learn a little bit about the dwarves.
Interesting dwarf factoid.
Mm.
The male player, or the male voice for Varric in German, is the biggest man I have ever met.
Like physically?
Yeah.
Wow.
He's huge. And he has a great voice.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. German Varric. We should have brought a sample of German Varric. But the thing is, these represent what we've done so far, German Varric aside. Let's talk about what's coming. Huh? Yeah.
We got Laidlaw.
And here's the best part. Even if you done spoil yourself, some of it's still a surprise. Because what we have coming up for you next to talk about is the feature everyone has been asking for, the Golden Nug. And What delightful timing. The folks at Sanchi rolled out the Golden Nug for their booth for PAX. So, what? That's a fair question. The Golden Nug is not quite New Game Plus, but it kind of is, because it's different. So I'm going to explain it to you, and hopefully this all makes sense. What you can do, thank you, Matt. What you can do with the Golden Nug is after you have beat the game and completed the core story, this statue mysteriously appears with its little wavy hand in your base in Skyhold, and you can go down and click on it. And the Golden Nug will essentially upload your collection of collectible stuff to the cloud of that platform. So it's only Xbox One to Xbox One, PS4 to PS4, PC to PC. And what that means is if you have schematics that you've managed to find, they were a hard drop, that kind of stuff, you've found a bunch of the potions, you've collected the mounts, you've got Skyhold equipment or thrones or decorative packs, all of those are synced. And once you do that, a Golden Nug is added to Skyhold and Haven for all your characters from that point on. Click on it again, all that stuff is brought down, you have all those collectibles and so on. So if you finish the Descent, you have the Armor of the Pure, and you're like, I love that look, you can now have it on your like level 4 Inquisitor from the start of Haven.
Oh yeah. So I can look my best right from the beginning?
Yes. Yes, and of course, with the new crafting stuff, it means once you get to Skyhold, you can start tinting that and blah, 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 blah. So the nice thing about this is you don't have to start a new game to take advantage of it. It happens dynamically for all your characters. So a character mid-game, kind of going to the Winter Palace, will find the Golden Nug added, again, as soon as you do that sync with a post-game character. And it's bi-directional. So if you find something awesome with someone that's level 4 that you didn't have in your end-game character, you click on the Nug, you get that thing added. So pretty powerful, pretty flexible. Pretty exciting. Cool. But that's not what you're really here for, right? That's not what you're really here for. What you're really here for is what I think is the most exciting thing we've got. Yeah, I know, right? It's the wardrobe.
Very abrupt music end. Boom.
That's it. Thank you. No, I'm kidding.
We can finally wash those pajamas.
That's right. Because they're getting a little stiff around the crotch. Yeah. So the wardrobe, I know, better late than never. Sorry. We had to test 100 different scenes that happened at Skyhold with each of the outfits. It was a bit of an undertaking, but we heard several people had suggested that perhaps there was an area to improve. We decided to go for it. There's over a dozen different outfits, including the wardrobe. It will be included in the next patch, as will the Golden Nug, and the outfits are there available for you to do. My sincere hope, we haven't tested it because it's hard to test, is that the crafty modders on PC will figure out some way to use those slots for their stuff. Anyway, you'll figure it out. Regardless, you're welcome.
I just want to see how long you can do this.
That's immensely distracting. Okay, so then, one more thing. And this is the last thing, and it really is the last thing. This is the end of Dragon Age Inquisition. Dragon Age Inquisition. We wanted to do something special. We heard a lot of feedback about DLCs. We heard a lot of requests. Some people had certain elements of the story that they felt were not tied up. Unless you romance Star and Bull, in which case I'm sure they were tied up. Yeah, I know. And of course, you guys wanted to see some more impact with the core storyline. You wanted to see more interaction. You wanted more followers. Those were all requests we heard. So we're doing one last piece of DLC. You may have heard something, but anyway, let's treat it like you didn't, because this DLC is an opportunity for you as a player to conclude your Dragon Age Inquisition story. It's the last chapter of this part of Dragon Age. In it, what we want to do is challenge ourselves and do something we've never done before, which means that we're building an epilogue. It's available only in the post-game state. So after you're done, something's added to your war table that once you have this new thing, and it allows you to go into an entirely new story that takes place after the Inquisition. In doing so, it gives you a chance to meet with your friends, your followers, see them, talk to them, interact with them, find out how their lives have been across the intervening 2 years that have passed. Yeah, you'll get to see the tensions of a world that has an organization with its own military and spies that was built to save the world, and the world no longer needs that saving, and what tensions result from that, and what kind of pressures that would put on a leader, your character. It's going to introduce an all-new plot by the Qunari, who will provide a major antagonistic role, and you'll get to learn a lot about what they've been up to in the intervening years since Kirkwall, and maybe, just maybe, a few hints of what might be coming sometime in the future. The most important thing for me, though, is that this is the one where you get to define your legacy, where you get to define how the arc of Inquisition is going to wrap up. It is then my very great pleasure to announce Dragon Age Inquisition Trespasser.
Your duty is done. It is time to end your magic. Kill the Inquisitor.
It's been 2 years since the Inquisition proved itself an organization everyone in Thedas could respect.
You act as if you're the solution to every problem. How long before you drag us into another war?
That time is over. And they're angry. We save Orlais, and they're angry. We closed the breach twice, and my own hand wants to kill me. Could one thing in this bloody world just stay fixed? Whatever happens to the Inquisition, the world needs you. I need you. Who's with me?
I suspect you have questions.
Right? Yeah!
Lead! Law!
And that's what we have for you today. All right, well, all good things has come to an end. Thank you for the amazing stories to my fellow panelists. You guys, that was kick-ass. Especially you, Matt. Give it up. And We, of course, we ensured that everybody had an M name for some weird reason. Now, a few call outs. So we are here at the BioWare base. It's on the second level up that set of escalators near Pine, I think it is. We're there all weekend. We'll be here all the way till Monday. Tomorrow, we're actually doing an open Q&A in the morning, and I'll be there, so maybe you have some questions. I don't know if you could hear it because everybody was losing their shit, but Solus said, I suspect you have questions. You probably do. And so I may not answer them. I may just say spoilers over and over. Who knows? That's kind of my Twitter thing. And tonight at the BioWare base, we're doing something we've never tried before. We're doing a fashion show with all new outfits for men and ladies, lots of ladies stuff. Which we're doing runway models. It's gonna be so cool. And we're kind of reconfiguring the whole base for that tonight. And I think that's happening around 6:37. Look at the program, it's there for sure. But that should be really cool. So stop by the base, say hi, feel free to deploy high fives and or raised eyebrows if you're, whatever, your mood. And we'll be there, and we were happy to sign things and chat and meet you guys, because honestly, this is why we come to PAX, because you guys make PAX so amazing. So thank you so much for coming.